You tell yourself this time will be different. You won't fall for the same lie. You won't chase the same toxic relationship. You won't slip into the same destructive habit. And yet somehow you do, again and again. It doesn't make sense. You know better. You've seen the consequences. So why does it feel like something is pulling you back, forcing you to relive the same cycle? We like to believe we are logical, evolving beings, learning from our mistakes, improving with time. But if that were true, why do we keep falling into the same traps? Why do patterns from the past keep repeating no matter how much we try to change? The answer is buried deep within us, in the parts of ourselves we refuse to see. Carl Jung called it the shadow, the hidden, suppressed side of the psyche. It is made up of everything we deny, reject, or refuse to acknowledge about ourselves. And without realizing it, this unseen part of us controls more of our decisions than we'd ever admit. Until we confront it, the cycle continues. We like to believe we are in control, that every decision we make is a product of careful thought, reason, and free will. But in reality, most of what we do is not truly conscious. Psychologists estimate that up to 95% of our daily decisions are driven by the unconscious mind, automatic patterns shaped by past experiences, buried emotions, and hidden fears. Carl Jung believed that one of the biggest forces behind these unconscious choices is something he called the shadow, the part of us we suppress and refuse to acknowledge. The shadow is made up of everything we reject: our fears, our insecurities, our unacceptable desires. It is the pain we never dealt with, the anger we pretend doesn't exist, the wounds we have buried so deep we don't even remember they are there. But what we repress does not disappear. It operates in the background, shaping our reactions, our habits, and even the people we are drawn to without us realizing it. Imagine someone who constantly finds themselves in toxic relationships. Each time, they tell themselves it was just bad luck or a mistake in judgment. But somehow the same pattern repeats. They don't see what's really happening. Deep down, they may be unconsciously drawn to chaos, instability, or rejection, because it mirrors something familiar from childhood. Perhaps they grew up in an environment where love was unpredictable, where affection was mixed with neglect or manipulation. And now, without realizing it, they are chasing that same dynamic in adulthood, mistaking pain for passion, mistaking anxiety for love. This is how the shadow works. It traps us in loops, repeating patterns, recreating old wounds, pulling us into situations that force us to relive the very things we want to escape. Until we face it, we remain prisoners to our past. Carl Jung described the shadow as everything about ourselves that we reject, suppress, or refuse to acknowledge. It is the side we don't want to see, the thoughts, feelings, and impulses we've buried so deeply that we don't even realize they exist. But where does the shadow come from? It begins in childhood. From a young age, we are taught what is acceptable and what is not. We learn how to behave to receive love, approval, and acceptance. A child who expresses anger may be scolded, so they learn to suppress their rage. A child who cries too much may be told to stop being weak, so they push down their vulnerability. A child who takes pride in their achievements may be called arrogant, so they learn to hide their confidence. Slowly, these rejected traits don't disappear. They are just buried. They sink into the unconscious, forming the shadow. But the shadow never stays hidden. It finds ways to manifest, often in destructive or unexpected ways. Jung believed the shadow reveals itself in two primary ways. 1. Projection. We see in others what we refuse to see in ourselves. For example, someone who hates arrogance and constantly calls others full of themselves may secretly struggle with their own need for validation. Deep down, they crave recognition, but have been taught that pride is wrong, so they suppress it. Instead of acknowledging this, they project it outward, judging others for the very trait they cannot accept in themselves. Or someone who constantly complains about dishonesty might be unconsciously lying to themselves about their own actions, hiding their own manipulations or insecurities. Projection allows us to disown our shadow by seeing it in others instead. 2. Self-sabotage. The shadow also shapes our behavior in ways that work against us. For instance, someone with a deep fear of failure might avoid trying new things, rejecting opportunities that could lead to success. They tell themselves they're just being realistic, but deep down, it's the shadow at work. protecting them from the pain of possible rejection. Or someone who longs for love but has unhealed wounds around abandonment might push people away, convinced that relationships will always end in betrayal. They don't realize they are repeating an old story, one that their shadow keeps alive. In both cases, the person isn't making rational choices. They are acting out their shadow, trapped in a loop they don't even see. This is why Jung believed that facing the shadow is essential, because until we recognize it, it controls us from the dark, shaping our thoughts, emotions, and actions in ways we don't understand. The shadow is not just something that hides within us. It actively repeats itself. Jung, along with Sigmund Freud, believed that unresolved emotions and past traumas do not simply disappear. Instead, they loop, replaying over and over in our lives until we finally confront them. This is known as repetition compulsion, the unconscious drive to repeat past pain, even when it hurts us. Why would we do this? Because deep down, we are trying to master what once made us feel powerless. Take someone who was abandoned as a child. They might unconsciously choose partners who leave them, not because they want to be hurt, but because their mind is searching for a way to fix the original wound. If they can get someone who is distant to finally stay, it might feel like they've rewritten the past. But the past cannot be rewritten. Instead, the cycle repeats. The same kind of partner, the same kind of pain, the same unhealed wounds, playing out in different ways. And the cycle isn't just emotional, it's neurological. The brain doesn't seek happiness, it seeks familiarity. This is why people stay in situations that are bad for them. Someone raised in an unpredictable household might unconsciously feel drawn to chaotic relationships, not because they enjoy suffering, but because chaos feels normal. Someone who grew up feeling unworthy may continuously seek validation from unavailable people, reinforcing the belief that they must earn love. This is the comfort zone of pain. Even when a better path is possible, the mind resists. It would rather return to what is known, even if it's unhealthy. Until we recognize the shadow, we are stuck in these unconscious loops, reliving old wounds, making the same mistakes, and calling it fate. Our identity is not as solid as we think. It's a mask, what Jung called the persona, the socially acceptable version of ourselves that we present to the world. But behind this mask lies the shadow, everything we suppress, deny, or reject about ourselves. The more we suppress the shadow, the more power it gains over us. At first, it appears as small impulses, irrational anger, unexplained fears, or self-sabotaging behaviors. But left unchecked, it grows into something more destructive. When the shadow is ignored, it does not disappear. It erupts in other ways. Self-deception. People convince themselves they are good while ignoring their darker impulses. Anxiety and depression. Unresolved inner conflicts manifest as emotional distress. Destructive behaviors, addiction, toxic relationships, or reckless decisions often stem from shadow repression. History has shown how powerful and dangerous the shadow can be. Take Adolf Hitler, a man who harbored deep personal insecurities, particularly about his own background and identity. Instead of facing his own shadow, he projected it onto an entire group, leading to some of the darkest atrocities in history. In modern times, we see this in celebrities and public figures who craft a perfect image, only for their hidden darkness to eventually consume them. A famous comedian, known for making the world laugh, struggles with inner despair and addiction. A politician preaching morality is later exposed for engaging in the very behaviors they condemned. This is the shadow at work. The more we run from it, the more it controls us from the dark. Jung's answer to escaping the unconscious loop is shadow work, a process of facing, understanding, and integrating the hidden aspects of yourself. The goal is not to eliminate the shadow. That's impossible. Instead, it's about acknowledging it, making peace with it, and using its energy in a constructive way. A person who integrates their shadow does not become perfect. They become whole, someone who truly knows themselves, free from unconscious self-sabotage. Practical techniques to confront the shadow. 1. Self-reflection. Identify recurring patterns. Look at your mistakes, struggles, and emotional triggers. If the same problems keep appearing in your life, your shadow is likely at play. What situations keep repeating? What emotions dominate your reactions? What fears control your decisions? Recognizing these patterns is the first step to breaking free from them. 2. Journaling and dream analysis. The unconscious mind speaks through dreams, symbols, and unfiltered thoughts. Writing them down can reveal patterns you don't consciously notice. Journaling prompts for shadow work. What emotions am I avoiding? What do I judge harshly in others? When have I acted in a way that surprised me? Your answers will point to the hidden aspects of yourself that need attention. 3. Observe your triggers. What annoys, frustrates, or angers you in others is often a reflection of your own repressed traits. Someone who hates arrogance may struggle with their own desire for validation. Someone who despises weakness may be repressing their own vulnerability. Rather than reacting emotionally, ask yourself why certain things trigger you. Your shadow is likely speaking. 4. Inner dialogue. Jung's active imagination. Jung developed a technique called active imagination, where you consciously engage with your shadow. Imagine sitting across from your shadow. Ask it, "What do you want? Why do you keep pushing me into these situations?" Let it answer. Listen, rather than resist. This practice reveals hidden fears, desires, and wounds, things that, once understood, lose their power over you. Integrating the shadow isn't about becoming better. It's about becoming real. The more you face what's hidden, the more control you gain over your actions, choices, and future. The loop only continues as long as you refuse to see what's driving it. The paradox at the heart of shadow work is this: the shadow isn't the enemy. It's often the very thing that holds the key to our greatest strengths. When we suppress our shadow, we are pushing away essential parts of ourselves, parts that could lead to profound growth. The traits we repress, our anger, desires, insecurities, are often the untapped sources of our power. Some of history's greatest minds understood this. Friedrich Nietzsche faced the darkness within him to create works that changed the world. Fyodor Dostoevsky explored his inner struggles to produce some of the most profound literature on the human condition. Carl Jung himself spent his life studying the shadow and integrating it into his work. Each of these thinkers didn't shy away from the darkness. They embraced it. They understood that only by integrating the shadow could they achieve true mastery over themselves and their lives. The final message is simple. If you don't face your shadow, it will control you. If you face it, you gain the power to break free from destructive cycles. By embracing the parts of ourselves we fear or reject, we unlock the potential to break free from the endless repetition of past mistakes. True growth is found not in avoiding our darkness, but in understanding and integrating it. Only then can we truly step into the light of our potential. Now, I want to hear from you. What mistakes do you keep repeating? Have you noticed any patterns in your life that you feel you can't break free from? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's start a conversation about how we can all start integrating our shadows and finding true growth.